What a great way to start our morning with a nice little informational video. So my name is Jenna Shimon. I will be the moderator today. I'm the Director of Water Use Efficiency for Eastern Municipal Water District in Southern California, and I am ultimately the most hyped I've ever been to introduce the 8:30 session. Hopefully you guys are as awake and active and very excited as I am. So this 3 sessions that you hopefully will sit through all 3 of is the Engage the Community for Conservation. And there is no better way, in my opinion, to start than with the Splashstreet boys and Denver Water. And so I will gladly welcome up Stacy to the stage to walk you through a little bit about their presentation. And then maybe we have a surprise guest somewhere in the wings waiting. But full information is in the app, so hopefully you've downloaded it or you picked up a program from the front. And so with that, I'll hand it over.
All right, thanks. Hi everyone, I love that intro, and yes, let's bring the energy this morning because it's 8:30 and we've got good stuff to share. That's right, all right. So I'm Stacy Chesney, I'm the Public Affairs Director for Denver Water and also agent for a wonderful band called the Splashstreet Boys. So I am going to give you just a little bit of background about why we're here and what we do. So for the past 10 years, Denver Water has taken a brand journalism, or what we call a content journalism, approach to our communications. Our focus is storytelling. We try to approach stories like a journalist would, adding our own take, and have set up our communications team like a newsroom. This allows us to address timely topics, and as well as have a little bit of fun when and where appropriate. So we create fun videos, infographics, and write news articles, and then put them out on our social media channels, and even use them as pitches for the media. It's been a really successful strategy. It allows us to, as much as we can, take control of our narrative. And it's also a way to kind of build trust within the community and our customers, because we get to talk to them directly, and they're hearing information from us. Now, of course, with the content craze that's going around the world, we always try to think about new ways. How can we adapt? How can we cut through the clutter and keep water top of mind in new and interesting ways? And so one such topic that we need to communicate about every year are our watering rules. You're here in Denver, maybe not all of you are from here. It's a pretty dry climate. So every year we're reminding people to not water more than 3 days a week. Don't water outside when it's windy or when it's raining. And those kind of tips to make sure that we're being effective with our water use. And usually our approach involves a mix of kind of more mass media tactics like media buys. You see a billboard up here on screen. And of course, pitching this topic to the media. But last year we decided to do something a little bit different. And I've got to say, we've had a ton of success over the years, but this one really takes the cake, and I'd really just like it to speak for itself.
Yeah, my yard needs water when it gets hard to believe these dry days that I water that way. But we want plants to survive. Concrete just won't fly. So I say
Oh my gosh. All right, well, with that, we have been waiting. Let us bring out the Splashstreet boys. All right, well, they're gonna have a seat here and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
Hello, my name's Jimmy. Nathan.
I'm Steve.
I'm Jill.
I'm Mickey.
All right, well, let's get these questions rolling. We've got some questions and then we'll give you a chance to ask as well. Jimmy here to my left, this really was his vision, his brainchild, so I would love, Jimmy, for you to just take us through. You were tasked with bringing us some creative content. Tell us how this came to be.
For sure, yeah. I mean, as Stacy mentioned, we live in a very dry climate, and every year we announce our summer watering rules. We announce it different ways every year, and the goal really is to try to stand out and cut through and get attention on these watering rules, which are really best practices, something that we try to encourage people to water 2 to 3 days per week, only during the cooler times of the day. The rules don't change, but the way that we talk about the rules does change. Sometimes we'll keep it a little bit lighter, and sometimes we'll go all in. We've done things like slow jamming the watering rules before. I jumped out of a tree for some reason at one point, which was ill-advised, but really this is the first time that we've really hit a home run on it, and it was great. It was so much fun. It's something that, you know, while it's not the first time that we tried to be creative with it, this idea had been floating around in my head for a while, and I was kind of unsure about it. I was like, I don't know if I really want to pitch this. This is probably silly. Brought it up in a meeting at one point, and everybody seemed really excited about it, far more excited about it than I had thought that they would be. And one thing led to another, recruited some band members, and once we had the band on board, we knew we were all in. So we had a really great time, a real blast doing it, and I hope that kind of shone through on it.
All right, so pretty much the evening we released this video, I could tell you it was going to be a hit, and we knew it was going viral even starting the next day. So Nathan here is on our youth education team. You work a lot in the community. Talk to us a little bit about what kind of reaction you got personally.
Yeah, so obviously it was exciting to see how big this thing went. I mean, I found out from people in other states that we had been on Good Morning America and things like that. My parents who live in Virginia were like, "We saw you on the Good Morning America show." I was like, I don't think so. Turns out that was true. Some people even heard from other countries, but I think the exciting thing for me being on the youth ed team and that I go out into the community so much is to see that kids and teachers recognize the video, they recognize the content, kids can sing parts of it. I have some kids in the school my kids go to who, you know, their parents will come up to us and say like, you know, I never really like paid attention to the watering rules until we heard this, but my kid like asked for this song to be played like probably 4 times a week. We did get invited to at least one birthday party, which was the high point. We didn't make it. We got replaced by donuts and an imitator of Anna and Elsa, but that's okay. We're open for the next birthday party. So anybody out there who's looking for one, let us know.
Awesome, I love it. I gotta say, the real song came on in the car the other day, and my kids were singing "I Water That Way" to it, so it warms my heart. Steve, why do you think this video was so popular?
So we had a saying amongst ourselves when we first started this: commit to the bit. Basically, if we were going to do something like this, we had to embrace the full cheesiness of it all. You watch the first 30 to 45 seconds of the video and it looks like just water geeks lip syncing to a famous song, and then you get to the part in the filter gallery when we're in the all whites and it looks like it's kind of a big time production at that point. So the funny thing on this is that we shot this in an afternoon. There was no budget. It was done basically with iPhones and cameras we already had. We basically did everything ourselves. Jimmy took about 8 hours a night editing it for a while. But it's also testament to the fact that the technology and everything you need to do something like this and make it look like that is out there. You just have to have a few people who are crazy enough to do it.
All right, so one of the questions everybody always asks me is, did they really sing? Jill.
We did. We actually recorded this in a little sound booth on the second floor of our building, meant for the customer care team to record those phone messages that you hear when you call in. Yeah, and we used a karaoke version of I Want It That Way for the background music. Costume and makeup was also DIY. I can credit our band manager, Gianna, for my facial hair, which I have shaved for today. But yeah, I really agree with Steve that it was the commitment to the bit that really made it work. We weren't trying to be cool, just weird in the most joyful way possible, and that energy really helps when you want people to care about something like watering rules.
All right, so through the years, through our content journalism approach, this team has worked to build trust so that when they're making decisions about what to do, they have some level of autonomy. It's funny that I'm even asking this, but Mickey, how did you and the group navigate approval process for this video?
So, in terms of the approval process, to be honest, it really wasn't as painful as we thought it would be. All of Denver Water Public Affairs was on board with something like this. As our history of content journalism has kind of evolved, we've taken bigger and bigger risks. So I think knowing we had the backing and support of each one of our individual leaders helped ignite a little bit brighter of a fire for us to be as creative as possible, as weird as possible, but really go for something. It's certainly not something we take for granted. A lot of things we do in Denver Water, I myself work on the lead reduction program. A lot of that communication is very detailed, very pointed. So having the opportunity to do something lighthearted and fun that would really connect and resonate with our audience was really, really awesome. And I think one of the best parts, you guys saw it towards the end of the video, but talk about approval, our CEO, Alan Salazar, was our biggest fan. I vividly remember probably during the second scene when we were dancing, in my case, like fools in the lobby, once I was done being too embarrassed to look up, I saw him just standing there with a grin, ear to ear. He jumped in, and anytime anyone mentioned the success of the video or to him, he made sure to email us. And I'm pretty sure he had more of a keen eye on our YouTube views than most of the band. So from the top down, it was really wonderful to have the support of the organization.
Exactly. And a year later, we are still pretty amazed by the numbers. Jimmy, will you kind of talk us through that?
Yeah, so overall for us, a successful video is like 1,000 views, 5,000 views is like, pretty elite. That's kind of tough to go for. And we're like, all right, well, we're gonna put in all this time. Maybe we can strive for like 10,000. Let's really go all in. Well, we got 135,000 to date on YouTube, and you can see all these other channels that we have as well, a ton of views. The impressions are crazy, but I mean, really the coolest part is how far reaching this really was. Of course, it was on all local media a lot. We got to do a lot of live newscast interviews in studio about it. It was very fun, as you can see there at 9 News, but here in Denver. But over the globe, 4 continents. The coolest thing, though, for us, I think, is the Backstreet Boys saw it and they responded on Instagram. They said, "You guys nailed this," which really was just surreal. The coolest thing that could have ever possibly happened. So that was like life made. So that happened, and then a few days later, we turn on, in our clips shows up a clip from TMZ, who had ambushed AJ from the Backstreet Boys in LAX and had basically thrown the video in his face and was like, "What do you think of this?" And AJ's like, "They're great. I love those guys. I'm so glad that they're doing that. What a great message of water conservation to get out there." So, at that point, anything else was just gravy. But it was so cool, and really still can't believe that it went as far as it did, and it was as well received as it was.
I mean, I'll watch and rewatch that video any day. So, if you want to know, interested what we might be doing next, encourage you to check out our social media channels. Also, I mentioned, our content-centric approach. So our new site is TAP, denverwater.org/TAP. And if you go there and sign up, put in your email address, just once a week. There won't be spam, but you'll get the headlines directly delivered into your inbox, kind of see how we're trying to stay on top of the topics and what we're communicating about, both serious and more lighter-hearted topics. So that really is the scope of our prescribed questions, but we'd love to see, do you have any questions? I'm happy to answer it. I mean, you've got a band here, so let's do it.
Two questions. First one, did you have to get prior approval from the Backstreet Boys to use their melody?
No. Fortunately, under parody, you can cover it if you're doing a parody of anything. We were all good there. And then music copyright also. The track was produced by a separate organization that provides licenses. So for like $10, you get a license to the song, and you can use it for whatever purposes you want, and you're all covered.
Great. Good thing you didn't have to spend a lot of money up front.
Exactly.
The other question is, did you notice as compared to other years, a reduction in water usage because of this, fantastic message?
Well, it's interesting. It's kind of hard to tie specifically, the results of a video to a specific behavior change that we weren't necessarily calling out specifically. We weren't asking people to cut water use off. It's more best practices and trying to encourage it. And I think anecdotally, the way that we saw the message permeate through the community at community events and at whether it's youth education events or all over the place, people really remembered a lot of the lyrics, a lot more of the lyrics than I thought that they were going to remember. 2 days per week, a lot of comments we saw, they were like, oh, what would the Splashstreet boys think? So I think a lot of that messaging and just seeing how far it went was really the goal, and getting it in front of as many people as we could. Yeah.
Exactly. Keeping water top of mind, I think, is key. People sometimes take it for granted, and so it's a way to kind of stay in front of them and reinforce our messaging. Other questions?
Missed who it was, sorry. Oh, sorry.
So it sounds like a big part of this success was kids seeing it and showing their parents and asking their parents to see it 4 times a week. Are you going to continue with this momentum and maybe open it up to high schools in the area to see if they can come up with videos of their own and use the momentum to continue engaging the youth in the message?
I like the idea.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. There has been a lot of discussion about how to follow it up, and we could do another video, but there's a point where it could sort of end up being white noise. And I think we have talked about, how do we show a broader swath of our organization or beyond that, Denver. So a different look. So I think there's definitely talk about doing it again. We haven't specifically talked about doing it with youth, but as part of the youth ed team, we are often looking for youth involvement, and we know that schools are looking for involvement to get behind an issue, and water being a huge one that a lot of schools study. So yeah, I think it's a great possibility going forward.
Excuse me, anyone else?
So my idea is the Wiggles. You guys remind me of the Wiggles. Just make it completely kid-oriented and water-oriented, and it's like bada bing, bada boom. Wow. That's all you need is the Wiggles, but the water Wiggles maybe. I don't know. Wow. That's all I had to say. I thought it'd be insightful.
Alliteration. Yeah.
And I thought Backstreet Boys' shoes were big shoes to fill. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Does someone back there have a question?
Mine wasn't too hard-hitting. I was just curious who wrote the lyrics. And it actually inspired me because I was like, we work at Louisville Water, and I was like, oh, we got to get one for Tapper for our mascot. And I started trying to write some too, and I was like, I wonder who took the time to write these lyrics, because good job.
Thank you. Shout out to Max Martin, the writer of I Want It That Way. He kept it real simple and straightforward. It's a very basic written song, so that didn't need that many words to fill in the gaps, but you really just take the messaging that you want, that like the back of your hand, and just kind of try to fit it into the tune there. That was really.
I feel like Jimmy's selling himself short a little bit. If you go and look at the lyrics, it really nails so many things that we want people to do. So it's like, if you're a little bit of a water geek, we might be that. Take another listen and I feel like it's complex, so don't sell yourself short. But yeah.
I just channeled my love of 90s pop and the Backstreet Boys. I just really dove all the way in, as we talked about. Full commitment there, yeah.
Were there any significant detractors on social media? And if so, did we respond or did we have to respond?
Age-old question. I get to field our social media comments, so I'll just keep rambling if that works for you guys. It's the response was overwhelmingly positive. I mean, we can just tweet out "Have a nice day," and you're going to get vitriol and hate and whatever on social media. It's the way that it goes. It's what I expected. The response to this video was crazy. It was like 98% thumbs ups on YouTube out of the 300 comments. I would say probably that percentage were positive. There were, of course, folks, you're wasting taxpayer dollars, which we don't have. We're not funded by taxpayer dollars. But that sort of thing, just some general things that you would expect people to say. But overall, the response was really positive. Yeah, it was very fun.
And mostly we just wasted a lot of Jimmy's weekends. So, yeah, we were all fine with that. Yeah. So.
I think we rode a typical viral wave. When a video goes viral, it comes out and at first everybody loves it, and then it gets out past kind of the audience that it was intended to, and literally we became worldwide, and then everybody worldwide loved it, and then it makes it to its detractors, and we started on our downward trend, and our 15 minutes of fame extended to about 20 or 25, and now up to 30, and here we are.
And maybe just you asked about engaging detractors online. Do you just want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just reinforce we don't need to respond to every negative comment or where there's not really a benefit to engage in that. Or bring more visibility to it. But, if people had legitimate, questions or curious about those sorts of things, of course, we reach out, we take things to the direct message component as well to try to get things off of the public-facing page when we can. But if it's a message that's going to benefit everybody, we also will respond and just be transparent about it. And, fortunately for this, it really was... it was pretty easy. Like from a budget standpoint, from all those sorts of things, it was pretty bare bones. Yeah, very minimal, depending on how much you value my weekends. Yeah.
We actually have all of this in our closets.
That was my question. Was how much was wardrobe?
I had to get a white pair of pants. That was our biggest.
It was like $12 on Amazon.
Yeah, $12 on Amazon. Lasted me well.
Yeah.
Anyone? Okay, well, I have a question. So there's 2 continents left. What are they? And does anyone in this room know someone from that continent? So we can share the video worldwide, truly worldwide.
Yeah, how many continents are there?
Geography quiz.
I think 6, but now I feel like that's a wrong answer.
No, I don't
said it
know.
out loud.
It's hard to say. I don't think Antarctica made the list. I don't know if South America was.
I think one of those 2 is easier than the other.
Yeah, probably.
So if someone knows a penguin.
Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely know someone who's been to South America and knows people down there. So I think maybe we can help make this a worldwide endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we still have a couple more minutes if there's any questions. If not, will you guys take photos?
Take photos.
We're doing a photo op.
Yes.
We'll be
I
signing
want one, that's why I'm
afterwards.
asking.
There's merch in the lobby.
We do have some stickers.
So this is really for, I guess, the External Affairs and Comms team, because obviously you mentioned that you've had a lot of support from this concept of the content journalism and having your team. So I'm in External Affairs, definitely don't have that type of support. So I'm just curious on how you went to, I don't know if any of you have been there that long since it started, but just how did you kind of build that to be able to get this kind of support over the years? So
It's a great question. So, yeah, like I mentioned, it was about 10 years ago. So really, this concept of brand journalism, I was at a conference where I learned about it, and at the time, it was basically myself and one other person who were the media relations people, kind of in charge of getting that external piece out, and I just always felt behind the 8 ball. People would come to me and say, hey, pitch this story, and any of you who are in this type of role know, to pitch a story to the media, you basically have to do the story yourself. You have to have your speakers lined up. You got to know the quotes. You got to know the key facts. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And then, reach out to a journalist and hope they will cover it. And so this concept of turning your communications team or your public affairs department into a newsroom really resonated with me, because I just felt like we have so many amazing stories to tell, and a lot of times we want to be ahead of hard topics, so how do we do this? So I wasn't in this role at the time, I brought back the concept to my supervisors and was like, look, I really think this can work, and it was a lot of effort to sort of help demonstrate what I thought the benefit would be to that. At first, what we did was we did bring on a consultant. We got the approval to bring on a consultant who had helped other organizations do this. So we had some of that outside expertise. And we were able to sort of lay a newsroom structure over people in their existing tasks. Now we've been able to evolve and grow, and things are a little bit different. But at the time, it was like, you wore a hat as, external communications or speakers bureau, but you were expected to write XYZ number of articles. Not expected, but that was part of it. And we set in place a structure. We were meeting daily to talk about hot topics, once a week to do deeper dive to figure out, okay, what are those deeper topics we're going to explore and that type of thing. So it was a work in progress. It took us probably a year or two to actually get in the flow. Set up with, at the time, was a WordPress site that became TAP, and now it's on our website. So it was all those steps, but it was kind of the baby steps of like convincing the bosses, getting some buy-in, and going from there. But the number of stories that the news media will just pick up and run on their own, sometimes without even calling us, or they take the story and then they call us and be like, I want a fresh quote of my own from your interviewing your expert. It has been just a game changer, and so it's really served us well.
Awesome. All right, well, with that, please thank the Splashstreet boys and Stacy for phenomenal work and their presentation.